Kids stealing, woo, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time holding these alligators.
You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kids stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on it, flaring on it. We Ric Flairing on it. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kids stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on it, flaring on it. Check, we Ric Flairing on it, flaring on it. It's apparent these girls staring. I'm Ric Flairing, gold across my chest. I'm fresh to death. I'm Paul Bearing, not at all scary. When I open like Betty Wops, then find to these circles that's going in like a carry shot. Woo! I'm going in like a Mary Pop off that Mary Crop at the top flow at the Marriott. So questioning me is like questioning you. See, we the best dressed, so come and get blessed with the crew. Not one but two, different ways to slaughter your crew. Committed tat across the chest, I guess she blessed with the truth. People want to see them checks, representation of proof. Living through my elders trying to resonate to the youth. But ain't nothing to get my flash on. Longevity is heavily embedded in my melanin. Layman terms, I last long. My grind repetitive, I'm smoother than real silk. Lyrical cash cow who can't cry over spilled milk. We in here. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on it, flaring on it. We Ric Flairing on it, flaring on it. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on it, flaring on it. We Ric Flairing on it, flaring on it. This ain't no normal situation, this preparation with greatness. Industry full of fakeness, it's really up for the taking. See, life is what happened to you, more so how you take it. Don't get stripped of your knowledge and mentally leave you naked. I like to live otherwise. I'm sorry that I'm fresh to death. I put the polo and apologize. See, black son, we ain't nothing like them other guys. Quit to socialize, we organize, then we mobilize. Off the deep end like a scuba diver. And no confusion, just keep it pushing like Uber drivers. Woo! Business fresh just like a supervisor in a Gucci visor. Can't find a smoother rhymer. You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on it, flaring on it. We Ric Flairing on it. You talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limo jet flying. We Ric Flairing on it, flaring on it. We Ric Flairing on it, flaring on it.
Yeah, DQ baby. Shout out that boy Nigga for that fire track. Hey, Black Sun, sun up. What's up, Vinny Vegas? What in Vegas? Yeah. Shout out Pharaoh's Kids, D-Phase, yeah, Bubba C, yeah, Ric Flairing on them, Ric Flairing on them, Ric Flairing on them, Ric Flairing son up, baby.
Yo, Scotty, you going crazy for this one. We see what you're doing, we salute you. Hey, let's get it started. It's Backpack Capital One. What's in your wallet? Got a call from my man A. Scott. I said I got it. Love that you highlighting all of these black colleges. Try to pay me for doing this. Look, bruh, if you don't get off my line with that foolishness, voice of the Swac, pull up where you at, no cap. If the Brody is speaking the soft facts, my advice, tune in to every show. Captain Petty, but we know that the sergeants are with the smoke. Speculate, just tell me what is we doing. Get into it, okay, look, I'ma say this and keep it moving. My boy Scotty, man, he offered the least. Black grad, paying college, I'm glad that he called me. Walking cause we all been taught that talk is cheap. Even primetime knows Scott for the HBCU streets.
What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Scotty. Listen, happy Friday, happy Friday, happy Friday. Listen, real quick before I get into my show today. Sir, where are you going? You don't need them. So before I get going, my kids want to give a thank you to everybody that sent them money for their birthday. She got $155 and my man got $80. So here you go.
Thank you Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we want to make sure they are.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Okay, bye. All right, bye. We just want to say you thank you and appreciate you guys for everything. Huh? So yeah, she was really rolling in the dough. Got 155. My boy DeQuincy Edwards came out and gave her $75. I was like, $75 for a 5-year-old? I was like, she my daughter, and I wouldn't even have gave her $75. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to the man DeQuincy. I appreciate that, man. And my boy Hill, Paris, Deputy Mario, who else gave Mama Casey, who else gave some money? Mr. Drano, all you guys for he definitely feeling some type of way. You can see it in his face. He was hurt. He's like, she gotta, because I never told him how much money. Why you saw them, this is the first time I just told him how much money she got. And that's why he was looking like that, like $155. Like, she don't even know what to do with $155. But she damn sure got it. But hey, man, listen, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like the stream. All right. I know it's a Friday. I know Bama's out here just trying to get through their day. Make sure to get to work. Get in and get out. You know, it's a Friday. Today at 6 o'clock, me and my boy Blue, we gonna go over the Big Ten and of the UCLA Power 5 move to the Big Ten. And hopefully we can get BJ Jones on here. You know, he got a newborn, so things a little different at his house. But we're going to talk about that and break that. And then we're going to talk about the implications that could go to FCS. All right, because if you talking Power 5 and FCS football, you got to have my boy Blue and BJ Jones. Got to have both of them on the topic. If you ain't getting it from them, you ain't getting it from nobody. So we're trying to get both of them on so they can tell you guys all the ramifications of this move, because it's not just a Power 5 seismic shift. It can also reverberate down to the FCS as well, and then you'll see a different way of FCS football. So we got that. And then make sure you tune in at 8:30. I believe BJ Jones is also going to have a Spaces on Twitter, so make sure you tune into that. I usually be in there. Blue probably be in there. Everybody kind of having and mingling and doing their thing. And now, once again, listen, if you don't like nothing I say, you can always what? Unfollow me. If I make you feel some type of way, you can always unfollow me. There's no shame in the game of unfollowing me. You don't have to listen to me. I never tell you have to, all right? I like this question. Somebody said, why is it so much drama in the Swac? It's so much drama in the LBC. It's kind of hard being Snoop D-O-double G. And listen, it's not drama, right? I just think people have a very short attention span. And I'm usually like that, right? I'm the kind of guy, when people do me wrong, I kind of forget about it. I'm like, whatever. I move on with my day because whatever. But when it comes to accountability, I say, I feel the word coming on. I feel the word coming on. I said, when it comes to accountability, the word means so much more, because there's something about this Offscript channel that makes me want to just hold people accountable. Now, people in and around here just be saying stuff. People just be saying stuff, and then when you bring it up to their remembrance, then they act like they didn't say that. And I'm like, how so? So I want to go, listen, this is probably not going to be a long show. And every time I say that, it probably ends up being like an hour. But I really don't want this to be a long show because it's Friday and you guys got sunny lights and all that, whatever, so you got stuff to do. Now, the question is, have you seen this man? Have you seen this man? All right. And the reason I ask you is because what happened today? Listen, I don't know if you guys don't understand how Dr. Charles McClelland does things, right? When things are going good and he feels like he has something to talk about, he be like Diddy. He be like Diddy, all in the video, all on the interviews, talking to Tylee Carr, talking to Dr. Cavill. He on everybody's platform. But as soon as shit goes sideways, have you seen him? Tell me, have you seen him? I don't understand it. Can somebody explain how can you say we are extremely excited to partner with the Allen Group and ain't seen a contract, ain't seen a publication, ain't seen a school on the HBCU Go app? I ain't heard nothing. I don't understand. And then people get mad at me. People start acting weird to me. And I'm like, all I'm doing is calling it out for what he's been promoting. He's the one going on platforms talking about this and that, how he got this and he got that, and we doing this and we doing that. And I ain't seen nothing come to fruition. Listen, man, I was talking to somebody last night and we was having a conversation. And I was like, Dr. Charles McClelland has to be the worst magician in the world, right? He's fumbling over the magic trick. You know what I'm saying? He can't even do the sleight of hand the right way. You seeing the flowers come out of his sleeve. You know, you see the rabbit run down the table, and people are still paying to see this show. People are still paying to see this show. I'm like, bro, you are a bad man. Your sleight of hand is just horrible. I see the coin in your hand. I see the rabbit running by the table. Does anybody remember? Does anybody remember this? We are extremely excited to partner with the HBCU. This partnership will be game-changing for our league, along with 12 member institutions that we serve. The ability to showcase some sports pregame across such a wide variety of multimedia and digital platforms will undoubtedly take the Swac sports programming to the next level while providing our fan supporters with unprecedented access and events to awesome. Where is the unprecedented access? Where is it? Where is Byron? Okay, where's Byron? Why is nobody on HBCU Go? Somebody got to explain something to me. And then once again, I don't get it. He messed up the... Listen, bro, I'm never not going to let that Swac Classic shit go down. Please, I want people to remember, okay? You got to remember, like, people, listen, I know we go about our day and people like Scotty get a life, but you got to remember, this is somebody's job. Remember that. How you go to work every day and you got to put in work and you got to do stuff. You can't just tell your boss, yeah, I sent that email. And then when he looks in your sent folder, he don't see no email. This is this man's job, right? And he continually keeps dropping the ball, but nobody says anything. Listen, man, and I listen, people gonna get real mad when I say this. But how can HBCU Game Day be the all-going HBCU media, right? And I have not seen one article asking about where is the Swac Classic. I haven't seen Tylee Carr, Stephen Gaither go back to this man and say, hey, what happened to UAB in Jackson State, what you promised us? Which you came on our platform, You went to Dr. Cavill's platform. You went to anybody who would listen talking about how you put together a Swac Classic at Birmingham, which was free. Everybody getting money. We gonna make $500,000 guaranteed. All this foolishness, and nobody holds you accountable. Nobody questions it. Nobody says, hey, Doc, what happened to the Swac Classic? What happened to the HBCU Go deal? Nobody. I listen, if you're a media entity and you are more worried about good press than asking the real questions, something's wrong. Okay, we know Dr. Charles McClelland won't come on the platform. He won't do that. You'll go to Dr. Cavill, cool, legend. You'll go to game day. But then they have a journalistic duty to ask the hard questions. You have a journalistic duty to ask the hard questions. Yo, what happened? The people would like to know. Hey, where is the HBCU Go deal? The people would like to know. But once again, if everything was going good, guess who will be all up in the video? Guess who will be all up in the producer, getting all the credit, all the sideline, waving his hand, doing all that stuff he's supposed to be doing? He'll be a commissioner then. Oh, he would be a commissioner then. It's me. It's me, your boy McClelland. You know you see me out here. You see me out here doing it. But every time he touches something, it ends up just being. But it was just my imagination once again. Running away with me. It just be running away with him. Every time he tries to do something really big, think about this. Every time he tries to do something really big, it ends up being an imagination. It ends up being an oasis. You know, when you're out in the desert and it's so hot and you can't, and you just like, I need some water, and then it's a mirage. Every time he tries to do something big, it ends up being a mirage. And then nobody holds him accountable, and then we just back at. But it was just my imagination once again. Running away with me. Just running away with him. Like, granted, it's cool to be a dreamer. It's cool to be nobody wants you to be scared to try new things. But something has to come to fruition. Something. Listen, man. It don't make no sense to me. Call lines open 516-259-9041, 516-259-9041.
You are the only participant in the conference.
Like I said, I'm not trying to take this out long, but at some point in time, there has to just be some accountability held to a commissioner. You can't, and it's the same thing I've said about HBCUs. You can't be looking at your school as a preacher, or you can't look at your AD, or you can't look at your president as a preacher that is untouchable, like he can't do something wrong. This man, listen, just because, I want to be very clear, just because I'm holding him accountable for what he's failed at does not mean what he's done is lackluster, right? Because people would say, oh, Scotty, he got us out of a deficit. That's cool. That's great. I'm not saying he didn't do that. What I'm saying is any idea that he has came up with in the past 2 years has been an utter failure. The Swac Classic, not happening. The HBCU Go deal hasn't happened. What are we doing? But nobody is willing. The platforms that he goes on, nobody asks the questions. Nobody. Oh, my bad. Ooh, I'm about to. Oh, ooh.
All participants are muted.
Nobody's willing to ask the questions nor talk about what he's done or what he's not doing. So make that make sense. Make that make sense. All right, Dre, I'm coming to you. Hey, what's up, Dre?
Yeah, I think on the heels of the USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten, I think that shows the failure of the Pac-12 commissioner that your two flagship schools basically left. If McClelland don't be careful, it's going to happen to him because we're not going to act like it doesn't just trickle down because it's going to come down to money. And if he's not doing his job bringing them money, I still have a problem with the Swac getting 40% of anything that somebody else brings in because all ADs ain't doing the same thing. But what's going to happen is that folks are just going to gradually, because everybody can't leave. And the way the Swac is, they're so old school, most of them won't leave, even if they're going down a burning building. They just not. They're just going to be like, hey, well, this is where it's going to be. But it's going to be enough to where, you know, especially if Deion's still there in the next 5 years, I have no doubt. I believe that he would bounce to the, you know what I'm saying, to a better conference or whatever. So I know he was at the Swac MEAC Challenge in Atlanta. So, but yeah, I think some questions have to be asked. You have to ask some questions everything.
Hey, Dre, let me say this and my counteract and 7909. I'll come to you right after. The thing is this, right? The commissioner has this is the benefit that he has is that you're dealing with a lot of black people that know their demographic is not at white conferences, right? Like A&T is a different beast because they have a different goal, right? They have a different goal than just being in a black conference or whatever. But when you're in a group of, it's like, I'm trying to come up with an analogy. It's like you're in a group of black people and they're like, yo, this is just what we do. Like this is what we know. So I don't think he has the fear of anybody jumping ship on him because they're like, yo, like where else will we go?
But see, the MEAC had that fear. The MEAC was like that until that's why I've always said institutions have to do what's best for the institution.
Mm-hmm.
So this fairy tale that the Swac has where, we all want to move up together, that's a fairy tale. You got folks, the reason why South Carolina State is still where it is, even though they're good at sports, is because they struggle paying their basketball coach.
Mm-hmm.
They struggle with finances. They struggle with allocating resources towards certain things. And once again, I always say it comes from the top down. So if your president is thinking past the Swac, if your AD is thinking past the Swac, you got a coach that thinks past the Swac, it's only a matter of time. So A&T, we was always thinking past the MEAC. It was just a matter of time. And I wanted to say probably in the next 5 years, it wouldn't shock if we went to the Sun Belt or something like that, because the money that you could get even in a lower bowl, I think Blue said like one of them lower bowls bringing like $5 million.
Yeah.
You know what a HBCU could do with $5 million?
Yeah.
And I'm probably willing to bet that even that if the FCS was allowed to go to a bowl game outside of Celebration Bowl, pretty sure a couple of them probably would have been like, hey, Jackson State, you want to come? Because they draw. And Deion's connected to it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The money that you can get from a bowl game, and like I said, he should keep an eye on what's happening in the Pac-12 because it's always going to be a trickle down.
That's fair. Hey, Dre, appreciate the call as always, my boy.
Appreciate it.
All right. 7909 coming to you. Hey, you live.
Hey, what's going on, man? This is David. How you doing, Scotty?
What's up, David? Talk to me.
All right. So my man Dre talked about A&T in their past, but like I think I think the Swac brethren and sisters need to pay attention to what happened in the MEAC and why it broke up the way that it did, why the schools left the way that it did. It comes down to finances and goals and consistency across all the schools trying to approach that goal. And some of the institutions weren't going that route. So then some schools had to make decisions for themselves, as you should. So when you think about A&T leaving to go to the Big South now in the CAA, that's why they make those calls. You know, they not only that they want to compete, but it's about they want to be in a stable conference and everybody's got the same goals from that standpoint. And we were chatting on Twitter earlier today. While I'm for an HBCU super conference, you're gonna have some folks are gonna get left back if they're not willing to make the moves that need to be made. Like you got to get the athletic budgets up and have the proper resources to make it happen. And there's only two ways to do that. Either you get more folks to give it to the institution, or you up the athletic fees. It's one or the other.
I think you also. I think there's an aspect that a lot of people are missing out on is that it's media. Right, the media money on it, because if you're not negotiating, your value, then you're always going to like. At least the reason these Pac-12 and I don't want to get too deep into it because me and Blue are going to talk about it later. But you know, Blue told me like the reason they made this move is for TV money. You know, there's a report that said some of these schools could get $100 million each or $60 million each. And I'm not saying no HBCU schools is going to get $60 million. What I'm saying is that if you negotiate if you're a super conference HBCU, if you telling me you can't get 10 to 15 million a year, something is wrong. I'm sorry. Like that just doesn't even make sense to me. If you can't get 10 to 15 million a year, it just don't make sense. But you got to have the right people in place to make that negotiating deal valuable, right? Because you got to show to an entity, and it's no different than if you had a business. Show me why I'm paying you $15 million. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to make it worth it. But I just feel like there's value that you can get 15 to 20, 10, 15, 20 million, you know what I'm saying, about to get to these super conference. If you had an HBC super conference, go ahead, David.
But for me, it just boils down to you're going to have to you got to see what the other institutions want to do, right? Like you got to see who's really truly serious about making this move. And you have to make tough decisions. Like what I mentioned during the tweet was basically, look, James Madison's athletic budget, and they're moving to FBS. Their athletic budget is almost $60 million. Woo! $48 million of it is paid for by the students.
Woo!
So you're gonna have to balance those decisions.
Yeah.
And but when you think about like somebody like a Jacksonville State, whose athletic budget is only $16 million, there ain't too many HBCUs that are up there. There ain't that many. Like even Jackson's not there yet. And I think they're going to get there. But my point is that there ain't many of them. So you got to get the money. That's the first step. So you got to have a plan in place. Like A&T started thinking about leaving their conference in 2015. Like it was a long-term research, long-term plan. You got to start thinking about those things.
No, I get it.
You know?
Now let's touch on that super conference just a little bit. Are you okay? Are you leaving out the UAPBs? Are you dropping? Because think about it. If you're going a super conference, and kind of and I don't want to say, I'm going to try to compare it to the Big Ten or whatever. They're bringing in markets, you know, they're bringing in, I want the LA market. I want the LA market. You know, I got the Maryland market. I got the Blue Bloods, you know, of Michigan and all them. So if you're building a super conference, are you dropping people, some of these people out of your conference? Are you dropping UAPB out your conference? Are you dropping Mississippi Valley out your conference? And are you just keeping the Southerns, the Grahams, the Jacksons, you know, adding a South Carolina State, making an Eastern West division in the super, you know what I'm saying? Like, because you have to make these strong choices, because I gotta package a whole deal of teams to be like, yo, we trying to get $15 to $20 million.
Yeah, so and that's what it boils down to, right? So you're gonna have to be willing to invest. And some athletic programs aren't willing to invest. And it's also about the administration. So we can't just put it to the athletic programs. It's about what the administration wants to do too, right? Yeah. Like you gotta have an administration that wants to take athletics seriously. And I think some universities don't have that. They don't want to talk about it, but that's the reality based on the actions.
Yeah.
You gotta have the university administration that's going to be serious about athletics. And that wasn't always the case in A&T either. Let me be clear. But you got to get the right leadership there.
Okay, so let's swing it back around.
That's where it starts.
Let's swing it back around. How important is having the right commissioner to move up a super conference? Or how important is it to have the right commissioner to be in place to have the super conference? Because, at the end of the I think in the SWAC, they have it backwards, that they think that they work for the commissioner, but the commissioner works for them. And for him to be doing some of the stuff that he's doing and not have it come to fruition, it just really bothers me that, I'm not saying he's a bad commissioner, because I don't want to seem like 2 or 3 things make it an all-encompassing thing. Everybody makes mistakes, and, your mistake or my mistake shouldn't encompass our whole lives. But at some point in time, you have to be questioned and have answers for what is going on and why these deals are falling through, because you're making them in hopes that they come to fruition, but they keep falling through. So what is the issue? So my question, 2-part question, is how would you feel about McClelland moving up with the super conference, or would you go find somebody else? And 2, how does the schools hold the commissioner accountable for the things that he's trying to do?
All right, so the universities currently in the SWAC have to make a decision if this is the guy you want to go to the FBS. And that's something they can decide. I mean, like you said, the commissioner works for them. So if all 12 schools are on board to try to be a super conference and they have a plan in place, you can make the commissioner accountable to make sure that's a legitimate plan to execute. But I think right now, it's just everybody's kind of doing their own thing. Everybody's not in sync when it comes to it. And I think Deion Sanders even sees it. Because I think Deion Sanders doesn't even want to be a lightning rod like that anymore. He wants to make sure when these other kids go to these other institutions that they are taken care of. Because you don't want folks assuming that every institution is Jackson State from the standpoint of athletics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you.
You can't be having too many of these holes.
I agree. Hey, David, man.
Jordan's got a good point.
Go ahead. No, finish up.
Jordan's got a good point about you got to beat FCS teams for talking about FCS. That's true, but that is not always the case. That's not always the case either. If it makes sense to go, you go. I mean, if you think you can make it happen and it makes sense for your institution, you make the move. But it's just a matter of decision of whether or not you're going to make the move with everybody. You're going to do it on your own. I mean, A&T is going their path. They got a plan to try to go to FBS within the next 5 to 10 years. So, you just make this. You got to decide whether you want to bring everybody else with you or do what's best for your school.
Got you. Hey, man, appreciate the
call.
Because
I know Deion wants to go FBS.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
I think Deion might be willing to do it without everybody else, but I know you got other calls. I'll let you go, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, man, shout out to David. Shout out to my boy Dre. What I want to focus on is I'm not talking about a super conference in FBS. I'm not talking about that. All right. I'm not talking about a super conference in FBS. I'm talking about a super conference in FCS. Because I don't think that half the schools are going to be ready for FBS competition. Once again, like Jordan said, you can barely beat FCS teams like that are not even ranked. Okay. So it's hard for me to believe that you're going to start beating FBS teams. I was thinking more of an FCS super conference or whatever. Now, my thing is, and going back to commissioner, and I'm going to kind of end it on this. At some point in time, all I'm saying is this, right? And people can hate it. People can say, Scotty, I hate you. Scotty, I don't care. Scotty, whatever. But you got to see it for what it is. You got to see it, because you can't pretend that people ask the right questions or the hard questions. Listen, there's a way to do it, right? Because even when I bring players on or I bring coaches on, I tell them, and some of them I tell them straight up, I'm like, listen, I'm gonna have to, if you can't take the question, don't come on my platform. I tell them straight up, listen, I gotta ask you about it. Just know it's coming. Because at the end of the day, I still have to have a relationship with you, because I don't want to seem like I'm just trying to burn the bridge with you, but I have to do my job because, one, I'm Captain Petty Sergeant Smoke. I'm petty. So I got to bring you the smoke. And at the same time, people want to know real answers. They want to get real information, not the fluff that people be trying to push out here. Oh, yeah, we're still working on that. We'll get back to you. How you still working on it? You made a public release. When you still, nobody sells a painting that they're still working on. Nobody sells a car that they're still working on. Nobody eats food they're still working on. So how can we're still working on that? Then why would you do a press release talking about partnering with a company if you're still working on it? Huh? Say what? It just doesn't make sense, man. It just doesn't make sense. So instead of people pandering to the commissioner, pandering to Andrew Roberts, pandering to that whole smack. Listen, they are not God. They are not God. They are not a pastor at a Baptist church. They are not untouchable. They are not a pulpit at a Baptist church. We all know, and a Pentecostal church, you know, you don't touch the pulpit. You know what I'm saying? So, but you gotta start somewhere, and you gotta hold the people in charge. Because listen, if you want the job, with the job comes responsibilities. That's for all the ADs. That's for all the SIDs. That's for all the coaches. You have to answer questions. That is a part of your damn job, is to answer questions. Don't act like if you get a hard question, it's the problem with the question. It's your damn job to answer them. But Bama's are just too scary. They scared. You want to get paid big bucks. You want to have a big time title, but don't want to get asked the questions that come with your title. Make that make sense. But man, that's my time, man. Listen, tonight, 6 o'clock, me and Blue, my boy Blue. Blue is going to break down. Like I said, hopefully we can get BJ Jones on. He's 50-50 on it. See if he can come and see if he can do it. But tonight, 6 o'clock, make sure you tune back in. We're going to simulcast me, Blue, BJ Jones, talking about the breakdown of the USC UCLA move to the Big Ten and the ramifications it could or possibly have on the FCS. All right. But listen, until next time, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to holla. God bless.